Hi, we're the Simple Teachers. Have you ever had a child who came to a word and skipped it because they didn't know how to read it?
Or how about this? Have you ever had a child come to a word and they make up a completely different word than what the author wrote?
Yeah, today we're going to talk about poor reading behaviors and how to prevent them or fix or remediate them. First, we're going to tell you an idea for what happens when kids skip words or whole lines of text that they come to, and they do this because they come to a word or maybe a really long word and they're like, I don't know that word, and they don't know what to do, and so they just skip over it, and that's a poor reading habit. So what we do, if we have kids that do that, we have to teach them to blend or decode words. So we're going to make sure that we have a good decoding strategy. And some of our favorites, sound by sound blending.
In all of our sound spelling videos, we do a little bit of sound by sound blending in those. So go watch those videos if you haven't.
Yeah.
How about this one? A student relies on pictures, and so they're saying words that maybe they got from the picture instead of what the author wrote. So if you see that happening, a tip we can give you is take out the pictures, retype up the text, or just cover up the picture with a page of paper or a sticky note or something like that. Cover up the pictures. Don't allow them to use the pictures.
Yeah, because that's a poor reading habit. Yeah. Here's another one. The student looks at the first letter of the word and then guesses a word that starts with that letter, but it's not the word that they're reading. That's another poor reading habit. And again, what we have to do to fix it, they need to learn how to blend or decode. I use blend or decode interchangeably. So we're going to teach them a blending strategy.
Yeah.
So sound by sound blending, multisyllabic word reading, that's another one of our favorites. Got to teach them how to do that when they come to a word they can't read.
Yeah. Have you ever seen your student just listen to their neighbor reading, maybe in a whole group setting or in a small group setting, and they're listening and maybe they're just reading what their neighbor's reading? Well, one way to prevent that is to stagger read. So you can initially get them reading at different times to start, or you can just stop the student. Hey, will you restart that sentence? I want to hear you read that sentence again, and that'll naturally stagger the read.
Yeah, it's a good little sly tip.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one. You have a reader who just follows the teacher voice, and they're just listening and following you all the time. So you never really know, are they a good reader or a poor reader? And so they have a crutch in following you. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your voice out. So as often as you can in a choral read or a group read, a small group read, you're going to remove your voice from the read. And that doesn't allow them to follow you.
Awesome. Have you seen a student acting like they're reading, pretending they're reading, but you know that they are not reading? So a way to fix this is give them a skill to know how to read. Teach them blending skills, teach them decoding skills. And we have shown those in lots of our videos. We'll put some links below.
And another thing you can do for that is make all the kids accountable for reading. So there's a couple different ways that I like to do that. I call it mumble read or whisper read. So all the kids are reading. And so you know they're reading because you're hearing their voice. So every kid is reading at the same time. Well, stagger. We go back to the stagger. And so every kid is reading all the time at different times, staggered times. And so they can't just sit there and, I'm reading, I'm reading, but really I'm looking at the ceiling and that's me. So no pretend reading allowed.
We've all seen it.
Yep. All right, one more. Students, sometimes we have another poor reading habit and they overuse contextual clues. So they're reading along, maybe they're reading about a pony, but instead they say horse. Well, it makes sense, but it's not what's written in the text. And we need to have kids accountable to read the words exactly as the author has written. And this again is a decoding or blending issue. So they need to be ready to decode or blend every word that they can.
Yeah, in my classroom, you'll often hear me say, good readers read exactly the words the author wrote. And the author wrote those words for a reason. So we need to read the words the author wrote. Because if they have that mindset of, ooh, someone wrote these words and I'm reading their words, that right there can help a lot.
Yeah, we shouldn't allow people to change what the author's written, especially our students. So let's make sure that we're reading those words exactly how the author has written them. And then when they're the author and they're writing, we're not going to change their words either. So
you want to write your own story? Go ahead.
Yep, absolutely. So here's some tips that you can use for remediating or hopefully preventing. We prevent these bad reading habits by not teaching these as strategies to use when you come to words you can't read. Our phonics instruction needs to answer the question, what do I do when I come to a word I can't read? Well, what we do when we come to a word we can't read, we have to blend or decode those words. So we've got to give them a decoding or blending strategy. And again, our favorites are sound by sound blending and multisyllabic word reading strategy. So we've got to give those to our students.
And for the few words in all of our words in our language that truly are irregular, they're not decodable, you would have taught those as sight words. But most of our language is decodable. So let's teach them decoding skills.
Yeah, and there's a lot of research. It goes back, quite a ways. 2004, we have some research, and it's stated exactly that it's so much harder to remediate bad reading habits than it is just to teach good phonics decoding skills to begin with. So let's teach those good decoding skills and not poor reading habits.
So if you find yourself doing one of these skills, fix it, change. We need to change as well as teachers. If we're expecting our students to change, we should be too, huh? Well, we hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment. What of these tips are you going to start applying today or this week? Thanks.
Simply teach.